Yo, what is good, dev guys? Welcome to part one. In this video, we're going to set up our fire. We're going to make it an automatic fire because if you look here, if I hold down the mouse button, this is only shooting one projectile at a time, so it's semi-fire. And in order for this recoil system to shine, we need to have an automatic weapon. So we're going to get that set up inside of C++. We're also going to use LineTrace, and we're going to stop spawning those balls for the time. I don't want to spawn them. I'll show you some things about a debug, draw lines using the debug helpers library, as well as setting up. I don't know if you guys see it, but this crosshair is not centered in the screen. So we're going to real quick inside a blueprint. This is some of the stuff that has nothing to do with our system. So we're going to do it in blueprint. We're going to create a new folder. We're going to call this our dev folder. This is where we're going to put everything that we do. Create another folder, and we're gonna call this core, and then we'll create one more just for now for UI. So jump inside the core folder. We need to set up actually we can just go here to our advanced recoil C++ classes. You can right click on our game mode and just create a blueprint class of it. Just call it GM underscore advanced recoil, just so we can keep that same game mode that's already made in C++, and we're going to put it inside of our core folder. Create that class. It should open up. Just dock it to the top here for now. Open up your content browser, and then inside the same core folder, we want to make our own HUD class. We don't want to use the one that is in C++ because that's what's drawing that whack ass crosshair. So go ahead, type in HUD here. Select HUD, and we're going to call this our AR for automatic recoil HUD. Okay, so inside of this game mode class, double click it, and we want to set our HUD class to our new one. And that's all we're going to do for that. And inside of our UI folder, we want to create a widget blueprint. Just call it WBP. We're going to call this HUD. On this HUD, we're just going to set up the crosshair. I'm just going to put let's just put an image. I'm going to just put a box in the center. I'm not really worried about making it look pretty. You guys can do what you want. So set the size to, I'm going to call it 5 by 5 maybe. Probably needs to be bigger than that, but we'll align it to 0.5 and 0.5. That's the center of each. Yeah, that needs to be bigger. That is tiny. So let me select that, and we can do maybe 12 by 12. Yeah, that's good. Compile that, and then we could go ahead and inside of our, let's go to our first person CPP folder, go to the blueprints, select this first person character, open up that full editor, and on begin play, which there is one in here, we're just going to create that widget. So create our HUD widget, and then we're going to add it to the viewport. And that is most of the blueprint we'll do, minus creating the curves. This has nothing to do with the system. This just lines up our crosshair where we're actually going to be firing. So save that, press play. You see our crosshairs there. For some reason, we're still drawing that that HUD. I don't know why. We're using our own. Oh, okay, I know why. It's because in this world, we need to go to Window, World Settings, and we need to override this game mode with the one that we created. So GM Advanced Recoil, and press play, and now we're good. So now our crosshair lines up with the center of the screen, which is where we'll be firing. So save all that, Control Shift S, and then we're going to go to C++, so you can either get out of this or you can minimize. Like I told you in my other video, I like to run Unreal Engine from the IDE so that I can keep up with the errors. So what we're going to do for the automatic fire is first we need to create a few functions. So go down to, let's just create a new section down here and keep it organized. And I'm gonna just make a region. Call this my advanced recoil. And everything we're going to do in advanced recoil, we're going to type it inside of here. So we need a on, so it's a void on start fire. We need a void on stop fire. And we also need to make sure OnFire is a U function for this system to work. We need a F timer handle, and we're going to call this our automatic fire handle. And since we're going to be setting up a automatic weapon, we're going to have a simple ammo system. So go ahead, create int 32. We're going to call this current ammo, and we're going to make an int 32 default ammo, and we're going to set this to, let's just say 30 bullets right now. We also need a void on reload. So actually, this needs to be void on start reload, and then we need to make a void reload. All right. So now we got those set up. If you're using Rider, just press Alt Insert, click Definitions, just check all of these, and we want to generate all of these. So in our on start fire, basically what this function is going to do is it's going to call fire weapon once, and then it's going to start a timer that loops at our own fire rate, which I'm going to say is 0.1, which is 10 bullets a second, basically. So what we're going to do is call, I think it's called OnFire. Yeah, that's what it's called here. We're going to call OnFire once, and then we're going to get world. Oh no, we need to get the timer manager dot set timer, and the handle that we want to pass in is our automatic fire handle, the one we made. We want our delegate, actually, yeah, our delegate is an address to the fire. So what is this called? Advanced. Am I doing this wrong? No. Okay, we actually want this override right here. So the user class is this, and then we want to pass in the address to the where is it? We want to pass in this right here, this advanced recoil on fire, as the function we want to run. And the end rate is 0.1, and this is the rate that our gun will fire. You could refactor this out and create this as a variable if you have an advanced system, but for this system, since we're just making one gun, and we're not doing like a dynamic firing system, we're doing dynamic recoil, I'm gonna just use 0.1, keep that as that, and then we want to set this to true for looping, and then that's it. That's the timer that we're going to set up, and all this timer will do is just loop and call OnFire over and over. So while we're holding down our mouse button, it's just going to go ahead and start this timer that's going to loop. And then on stop fire, what we want to do is just get that automatic fire handle. I actually want to get the world, get timer manager, and then clear timer, and then we'll just pass in the automatic fire handler, and eventually we'll do other things inside these functions. That's why I didn't just create a fire or a stop fire, because we're going to do more logic in these functions later. So on start reload, what we want to do in here is we want to also call a timer that starts the reload function. So we'll create a temporary F timer handle, and we'll just call this our reload handle. And then we want to get the world dot get timer manager set timer, and we want to pass in our reload handle. Let's call get a reference to this and get the address of reload. The end rate, let's just say our reload will take 1.25 seconds, and we don't want it to loop, so we can actually just go ahead and end this because the rest of the defaults are fine. And on reload, all we want to do is when this gets called is we want to set current ammo. We want to set it equal to default ammo. That's all we want to do for that. In your own system, you want to have something a little bit more advanced where you check what the current ammo is, and then you subtract the leftover ammo. Like if you reloaded and you still have bullets in there, you subtract the leftover ammo from the max ammo, and just to keep everything in sync. But we're not doing that here. Okay, so inside a fire weapon, this is where let's look for OnFire. I've been OnFire. And it's good that it brought us here because we actually need to bind this to on start fire. Now we need to bind this input action to on start fire so it can call our timer and whatnot. And then we actually need to go ahead and let's copy and paste this. Since we have an automatic rifle, we need to on released, IE underscore released, we need to call on stop fire. So fix that. So yeah, we're all set up there, and now let's get to that function on fire. So this does something to where if we got a projectile class is doing all this stuff, we don't want a lot of this stuff right here. We can delete pretty much all of this because we're not going to spawn that projectile anymore. We're going to spawn a line trace. So come inside of here, inside of if a world is not equal to null pointer, means we have a valid world. And we want to do our line trace, which is called from the world dot line trace single by channel. And we have to pass in a few things. This is a reference. So they'll actually get filled by our line trace. So we need to create an F hit result. We need to call it hit. And while I'm here, I'll also create a F vector, a couple F vectors. We need an F vector for the camera location, and we need an F rotator for the camera rotation. I like to make my variables very obvious. That's why I spend all this time typing them. I like to make them obvious. You don't have to think. I ain't gonna put C rotation or cam rotation. I'm gonna put the full bird. You dig what I'm saying? I want to make everything obvious. And then one thing we need to do is go ahead and we need to let's go get the controller, and we need to get the player viewpoint, and we need to pass in. This takes also it fills out reference variables for us. So we need to pass in our camera location, and we need to pass in our camera rotation. And so the reason I did this is because if you know line traces, how they work. I can get the hit to pop up. I guess not. Okay, so we need a hit. We need a start location. We need an end location. We need the channel. We need the query params. This is something we need to create as well. So let's go ahead and create the F collision query params and call it params. We need to override one of the things inside of there where we add an ignored actor, and we need to pass in this actor, and we ignore ourselves. We also need another F vector call this our trace start. And this is equal to our camera location. And then our f vector trace end is equal to our trace start plus the camera's rotation, which is the forward vector. So just convert this to a vector. This is like putting get actor forward vector. So we need a camera rotations vector, and then we need to multiply that by how far we want to shoot. I'm gonna just put 10,000 for now. And then now we can fill out our line trace function, and we need to pass in that hit. We need to pass in that trace start. We need to pass in our trace end. We're just going to use ECC visibility right now. Oh, vehicle visibility. And for our params, we pass in our params. And everything else is fine at default. And we also, for this, since this returns a bool, we want to go ahead and just set a bool to this. So let's create a bool, call it B has hit something, and it's equal to this. So because this returns a bool. All right. So just so we can see what we're hitting in the world, we can go ahead and check if B has hit something. And we want to go ahead and we want to draw a debug line. Actually, right here, we want to draw a debug box to show what we hit. And this takes in a few things. It takes in the world, so we can pass in our world. Pass in the center. The center would be the hit dot location. And the extent, we can make a F vector and make it, let's just make this 15. But if you pass in one value, it'll fill all the values with that number. So F vector 15, so it'll be 15 by 15 by 15. We also need to pass in the color. So make a F color, and we're going to just do green. So we hit something. What else we need? Persistence lines, false. And the lifetime, we might want this to show for 3 seconds. Depth priority 0 is fine. And thickness, let's go ahead and make it 3 centimeters thick as well. And then go ahead and get out of that one. And I forgot one thing as well. We need to draw, for every shot, we need to draw a debug line right here. And this, with Rider, for classes that you're typing in, it automatically includes things for you. But if you're using Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, you'll need to include DrawDebugHelpers.h, okay? So that you don't get any errors. So for our line, we need to pass in a few things. Our world, we need to pass in our trace start. For the line start, we need to pass in our trace end. Oops. We need to pass in a color. Whoops. And we want to make this red. Persistent lines, false. What else is there? The lifetime, let's also make this not 30 seconds. Jesus Christ. 3 seconds. Depth priority is fine at 0. The thickness, let's make this half a centimeter thick. So 0.5 F. And go ahead and get out of that. So with this, we should be able to fire a line trace and see where that line trace is hitting. Okay, so go ahead and compile just to see if we get any errors. And I should add, if you're using Rider and you didn't install this to the game, you're going to get an error, and it's a weird error. And the way to fix it is to actually go. So I had to go, this is the way I fixed it when I had the issue. I had to go to where I had Unreal Engine 5 installed. And where did I install it? I installed it here. I'd go to Engines, Plugins, and the Rider plugin is inside the developer folder, and it's called Rider Link. Where is it? Oh, okay. Since I didn't install it to the engine, it's not in here. But you'll have a folder called Rider Link inside of here. You'll need to delete that folder. Don't delete this one. Keep this one. Delete the Rider Link folder, and then just close everything, restart, and try to open up a code file with Rider, and it'll open up Rider again, and it'll say that the engine is that the plugin is not installed. You need to install it to the engine or the game, and make sure you select game. Unreal Engine 5 has an issue right now, but we didn't get any compile errors, so I'm gonna go ahead and run the editor. Let's see. One thing I do like about Unreal Engine 5 is that it loads up pretty quick compared to 4. So I have 3 editors open. Do I want to show them? No, I don't. So if we go ahead and click play, let's see what we got here. All right, our line trace works, and if we hold down our mouse button, we shoot eternally, right? That's because we forgot to set up the ammo. So if we actually, we can go ahead and get rid of it. We can get rid of this. We can change this if to if our current ammo is greater than 0. So what we want to do, our current ammo is greater than 0, and our world is consistent. We can go ahead and say current ammo minus here. And we also need to go ahead and get inside of the constructor. We need to set our current ammo to be equal to our default ammo, just so we have bullets. Go ahead, come into the editor, compile that. And now when we fire, we'll stop after 30 bullets. See, our gun is still firing, but we're not firing a line trace anymore. Okay, and I think that's because all of this logic is separated. So I'm gonna cut this right here, and I'm gonna paste it inside of here, just underneath this, so that we'll stop doing all this stuff if we don't have any bullets. Now we need to go ahead and where's our reload? So we don't have a input for our reload, so we need to go to setup, input. Let's go. Shit, I typed in the wrong thing. Setup player input. And here we want to bind. Let's copy this. Let's bind an action. And we're going to call this reload. And then when we press it, we want to call on start reload. Okay, so this is something that we'll set up in the editor. When we press R, we'll start reloading. So compile that, cancel. I'm gonna compile in the editor. And then in project settings, go to input, and we're using the old input system, yuck. Go ahead and add a new one and call it reload. And we're just going to set this to the R key. And that's fine. Oh, was our compile successful? So we shoot, we'll shoot our 30 bullets off. All right, and now we can't shoot anymore, but if we press R and we'll wait a second and a half until the reload happens, we're able to shoot again. And we're pretty good there. All right, so that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one where we're going to get the curve set up and start working on the actual recoil system. Peace.